Awards taking place on Saturday. But on today's Roland Martin Unfiltered for Thursday, March 28th, 2019, more drama out of Chicago dealing with Jussie Smollett. Donald Trump orders the FBI to investigate what took place, the plea deal there. Also, the continuing whining and crying of Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who wants Jussie Smollett to pay back the city. Did he somehow forget the millions of dollars that Chicago has had to pay out in police brutality cases? Also, what the hell's up with the District Attorneys National Association calling out Cook County DA Kim Foxx, but not other district attorneys on police shootings? Oh yeah, I got something to say about that. HUD sues Facebook over discrimination in housing. And my panel and I take on Facebook's decision to ban white nationalist and white separatist posts. Will it work, and does it go far enough? Trump, under media and activist pressure, reinstates funding in his budget for the Special Olympics and allows Liberian refugees to stay another year in the United States. Another African American joins the race for the White House, the mayor of Miramar, Florida, population 140,000. We've got his announcement video, and that is, we'll tell you who Wayne Messum is, because many of you probably have never heard of him. Also, we'll update you on the state of play on the GOP power grab in Wisconsin, and a federal judge strikes down work requirements for Medicaid in Arkansas and Kentucky. And some more crazy as white folks lose their mind, this time a TV news team and 2 Republican congressmen. Well, I'm going to really deal with the Republican congressmen. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go. All right, folks, everybody's getting in on the Jussie Smollett drama coming out of Chicago. Today, Donald Trump, who hated his own FBI and Justice Department just a few weeks ago for investigating him, tweeted this today. FBI and DOJ to review outrageous Jussie Smollett case in Chicago is an embarrassment to our nation. Really? An embarrassment to our nation. The very man who constantly lies left and right. He's calling somebody else an embarrassment to our nation. Gotcha. Also, folks, there's more to the Smollett story today than, of course, what Donald Trump is talking about. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, this is what he had to say. He's running his mouth left and right. Y'all check this out.
Police are assembling the cost. They'll do that. And then the Corporation Counsel of the City of Chicago will communicate to Jussie Smollett and his legal team about recouping that cost in that effort. And given that he doesn't feel any sense of contrition and remorse, my recommendation is when he writes the check, in the memo section, he can put the word, "I'm accountable."
Well, guess what? Smollett's defense clapped back, quote, "It is the mayor and the police chief who owe him an apology for dragging an innocent man's character through the mud. Jussie has paid enough." Now, here's what's interesting. Rahm Emanuel wants this all. First of all, have y'all noticed how talkative Rahm Emanuel is? When is the last time you actually heard this much from Rahm Emanuel on any other case in Chicago? How about this, Rahm? Let's hear you talk about Chicago, since we want to add up the cost. Let's talk about Chicago last year spending nearly $50 million to settle police abuse cases. Uh-oh, I'm sorry. Did I actually say that? Yes. He's crying about the cost involving the Jussie Smollett case, but again, last year, $50 million spent by the city of Chicago to settle police brutality cases. Or I guess he forgot about that. Now, I'm also going to pull up another number that shows you the millions of dollars that have actually been spent as well in Chicago. Okay, again, $50 million last year. We're also talking about over the course of a decade, Check this out. Between 2004 and 2016, police misconduct cases cost the city of Chicago, y'all ready for this? Get yourself together, $662 million. Let me repeat that. In a 12-year period, the city of Chicago spent $662 million settling police misconduct cases. I do not recall a single speech by Rahm Emanuel slamming police officers for costing the city, the citizens of Chicago, the taxpayers of Chicago, 662, matter of fact, 662 plus the 50, we now, folks, are at $700+ million. Please show me the video of Rahm Emanuel complaining about spending $700 million of taxpayer money because of rogue cops. Yeah, I thought so. Now check this out, folks. The National District Attorneys Association, also known as NDAA, issued this rebuke of Cook County DA Kim Foxx on how she and her office handled the case. Now check this out. Quote, "The case in Chicago illustrates a point that must be discussed in an effort to ensure fairness in our criminal justice system. The rich are treated differently. The politically connected receive favorable treatment, and Lady Justice sometimes peeks under her blindfold to see who stands before her. NDAA rejects these inequities as they are antithetical to our founding principles of justice, that no one is above the law." Can y'all please tell me, first of all, have you ever heard of the National District Attorneys Association? 2, when is the last time you've ever heard them talk about police brutality? When is the last time you've ever had them issue a press release on DAs who do not prosecute cops for doing wrong? We just had the case in Pittsburgh. Cop went on trial, homicide, found not guilty. We had, of course, Stephon Clark in Sacramento. That case. I can go down the line, case after case. In fact, explain, did y'all ever hear a statement from the National District Attorney Association condemning Anita Alvarez for improperly charging Dante Servin, the cop who jumped into a conversation, pulled his gun out, shot and killed Rakia Boyd, shot her in the head, she dies. Anita Alvarez charges him wrongly. His case gets thrown out. The judge says, oh, this is the wrong charge. Dante Servin walked free. Please, y'all, take your time showing me where those district attorneys issued a press release condemning Anita Alvarez. I'll wait. Yeah, you can't find it. You can't. Now check this out. Now we got this idiot Illinois State Rep Michael McCullough, who says he's introducing a bill to kill tax credits to productions that hire Jussie Smollett. Now, it's very interesting. Yesterday on social media, my girl Lovey took umbrage to me saying that white folks are treating Jussie Smollett like he's OJ, like this is OJ 2.0. She said, Roland, that's unfair. Well, what do you now say, Lovey? What do you now say to the rest of the people out there who say that I was wrong for comparing to OJ? The point I'm making is the white reaction to the Smollett case is also how white folks responded to OJ Simpson. Let's break all this stuff down with our panel. Dr. Greg Carr, Chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University, Lauren Victoria Burke, a writer with the NNPA, also Robert Patillo, civil rights attorney. Robert, I want to start with you. First of all, I ain't never heard of the National District Attorneys Association. But for them to issue a statement condemning Kim Foxx, when I don't recall them saying jack about other DAs and their wrongdoing, shows to me these white folks have lost their... Jussie Smollett has literally caused white folks to lose their mind.
Well, I think bigger than that, what the DA Association has to be honest about is it's just a diversion program. All he did was the same diversion program that they offered Robert Kraft in Florida last week. Robert Kraft was offered the opportunity to have the charges against him for soliciting prostitutes on multiple occasions dropped in exchange for doing community service and paying a fine. That's exactly what Jussie Smollett just did. He did community service at the Rainbow Push Coalition. He paid a fine. There's nothing outside of the ordinary about this. There's nothing that should be all this hyperbolic rhetoric, all this discussion about Kim Foxx, everything else, because people do not like the nuts and bolts of the criminal justice system. It is a class 4 felony, which is a glorified misdemeanor to make a false police report. The same way that Barbecue Becky and that all these other people who make false reports against African Americans don't get charged with felonies, they realized that Jussie Smollett was overcharged by giving him 16 felony counts for making a false police report, and they gave him a diversion program, which is within the guidelines of protocol in Cook County. I went to law school in Chicago. I clerked at the Cook County courthouse. They have bigger issues to handle there. They have vice lords. They have Latin kings. They have a lot bigger things to deal with than somebody making a false police report, and that's why they gave him a diversion program. Now, the Smollett people need to shut the hell up. You got your deal. Go home. Sit down. Quit releasing press statements, stop doing press conferences, get in the car, take your winnings and go home. But at the same time, Rahm Emanuel, the police superintendent, all these people criticizing the diversion program need to just understand that this is par for the course for what you get for a class 4 felony / glorified misdemeanor.
Greg, I want to go to you again. The issue that I have here is you see these district attorneys who said nothing. In fact, I believe we reached out to them to get them on the show. And of course, they chicken out, my understanding, and they would not come on the show. That shows me how weak they are. But Greg, to sit here and listen to Rahm Emanuel at that news conference 2 days ago, yesterday on Good Morning America, the whining today, $712 million spent over the last 14 years, and he is bitching and moaning about what the Jussie Smollett case cost the city of Chicago. Sit your ass down, Rahm Emanuel.
I think that's probably all that needs to be said, Roland. I mean, our blood pressure goes up when we listen to these white supremacists, but Rahm Emanuel is ostensibly a Democrat. Donald Trump is ostensibly a Republican. And yet somehow they both seem to be on the same side of this Jussie Smollett issue because race trumps all those artificial political categories. The Chicago Police Union, this made-up group of DAs. Let's be clear, as Robert said, I mean, alternative dispute resolution is a normal thing. They're angry because Jussie Smollett got treated, in their mind, like a white man.
Like Robert Kraft.
And like Robert Kraft, who was caught at the place. So let's be very clear about this. This isn't an issue of fact in Robert Kraft's case, but this billionaire gets to walk. So for Jussie Smollett to avail himself of the same thing that white people do every day, they're going crazy, and they should go crazy, because guess what? This is why you register to vote. This is why you go out and vote. What you gonna do to Kim Foxx? Put her back in office. Stuff it down their throat. Finally, in terms of our sister Lovey, this is why we have to have journalists like you and a free black press, independent black press, do this analysis, because folks sitting around here on social media who don't understand the long arm and the warp and woof of this do not remember that when O.J. Simpson, guilty or not guilty, got treated like a rich white man who could pay for a defense and go into a court of law and have a fighting chance at something, white people also lost their minds. So not only is your comparison apt and fit, anyone with a historical memory would not have disagreed with it.
And Lauren, again, I'm looking at all these conservatives acting a fool on social media. I mean, you had that wimp Charlie Kirk imploring Donald Trump to bring in the FBI. I mean, you have Donald Trump now on social media saying the FBI, they're going to investigate what happened here. I'm looking at Rahm Emanuel. I'm looking at all these people. I'm sitting there going, y'all are spending this much time on this when I do not recall ever seeing Rahm Emanuel go before the cameras on Good Morning America, on a CBS morning show, on news conference in Chicago, and looking in the camera and saying, all of you rogue damn cops with the Chicago police, y'all are costing taxpayers money because of your actions. And you talk, and again, let me be real clear. Lauren, before I let you speak, I'm not making excuses for Jussie Smollett. Okay? The DA says she believes Jussie Smollett lied. They believe Smollett is guilty. Now, first of all, they keep saying, well, he was exonerated. I don't know what's going on. But the bottom line is here, I'm talking about the reaction. I'm talking about how all of a sudden, out of all of these cases we see come out of Chicago, that Jussie Smollett is now the poster child for what's wrong with the criminal justice system.
And of course, the irony, of course, is that the president who's complaining about this just got off. So we think. We haven't seen the full Mueller report, but he just got off on what is effectively treason. I think part of, what Robert said about Smollett's people need to shut up, that's right. I mean, they really, really need to shut up, because the more they talk, the more they sort of drive the narrative. But of course, what's going on with Donald Trump is what always goes on with Donald Trump. He cannot stand watching someone African American making a decision and being in power. And so Kim Foxx making that decision and being in power drives him crazy, and he's trying to undo it. It's kind of similar to what we saw with Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore, and Stephanie Morales in Portsmouth. She had prosecuted a cop. It's like when you see African Americans in power making decisions, there's a certain constituency out there that cannot handle it. Compounding that is the fact that the police chief, and now, of course, the mayor's joining him, got out there and ran his mouth with that big-time narrative about how Jussie Smollett embarrassed the city, which, by the way, nobody was really thinking about that. He just happened to sort of, I think, be in Chicago. But he made that huge narrative, and now you got to walk it back because you look ridiculous prosecuting somebody for something, though very stupid, that should have never happened and was just dumb, beyond dumb, is not exactly, as Robert pointed out, the most serious thing happening in the city of Chicago.
Well, and I have to agree with Robert on this one here. Jussie and your team, shut up.
Right, shut up. I mean, they just keep talking.
They can't.
I mean, it's like all this, no, they owe us an apology.
They can't, Roland, because what we're facing is celebrity culture now. We're faced with a culture that was never a culture to begin with. But in this moment, there is no consensus. There is no commonality. All there is platform and brand. And Jussie, Jussie Smollett is fighting for his brand at this point.
Right, they're branding.
But on that issue of him fighting for his brand at this moment, the worst thing that he can do is keep making statements.
Yeah.
Because what will end up happening is those Nigerian brothers will sit down with Oprah.
Right.
Or, I'm being for real.
Good point.
Those Nigerian brothers sit down with Oprah and break down things and bring out text messages and emails. It's over.
Right. Well, that's why they tried to seal everything.
Hold on, I keep getting criticized. People like, don't refer to them as the Nigerian brothers, they're Americans. Okay, the American Nigerian brothers.
I'm not going to try to pronounce their names.
All right, Robert.
No, but it's just, look, I will tell again, you what. I just, again, though, bottom line is this here. Now, here's the other piece, though. And this is why I would also tell Justice people to chill out. The FBI is still investigating that letter that was sent to Jussie.
Right.
Now, here's the problem here, okay? According to the police, they found similar lettering or the magazines or the cutouts in the brother's apartment. Now, I don't know what's going on there. All I'm simply saying is, until that is dismissed or is gone, I'm like, look, you're not going to be prosecuted. It's been expunged. The whole deal is sealed. I'm saying, go back to work, go make music. No need to sit here and keep fanning the flames, because what it does is it keeps people talking about this as opposed to moving on. So that's the piece there. All right, y'all. I know y'all got something to say about this here. Looks like Ben Carson might actually be doing something for black people there as Secretary of HUD. The department he heads, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, they are suing Facebook for violating the Fair Housing Act by encouraging, enabling, and causing housing discrimination through its advertising platform. This is what Carson said, quote, Facebook is discriminating against people based upon who they are and where they live. Using a computer to limit a person's housing choices can be just as discriminatory as slamming a door in someone's face. Now, earlier this week, we told you that Facebook announced they would no longer allow advertisers to use data to discriminate in ads for housing. Civil rights groups have been pushing hard for them to do this. Also, Facebook announced they also are dealing with this whole issue of hate crimes, not allowing people to post comments dealing with white supremacists and targeting that. Civil rights groups have been supporting that as well. Let's go to my panel here on this. Greg, I want to go to you first. First, it's like, first of all, as I think about what Ben Carson has done, I have to, since I'm here in L.A., and this is where La La Land is, I have to think about the soldier story. My man Adolf Caesar. Oh, my God, the dead has arisen.
Well, I'm wondering who's
From The Color Purple.
Well, right, The Color Purple. That's right. Color Purple. That's right. Yeah, because in a soldier story, his line was, CJ, the black race don't need you no more. And so that's where he can say that clearly to Ben Carson sometimes. I'm sure Carson is following the script. Just like Betsy Idiot DeVos got blindsided when she didn't realize they had X'd out the Special Olympics the other day. I don't know what Ben Carson is reading from, but I suspect that the motive behind his statement has more to do with them attacking Facebook than anything else. As far as this Facebook banning hate speech or banning white nationalism, I was concerned having read their statement. They said that there were broader types of nationalism that were okay, like American pride and Basque separatism. And I thought, why would they single out Basque separatism? And I'm thinking to myself about some of the more rabid pro-Israel lobbies, and I'm thinking, are they trying to carve out exceptions? But my concern is how they will arbit what speech they will suppress and what speech they will allow. Because the next thing you know, they may turn on the Nation of Islam. They may come, and at that point, us saying, well, get rid of the Klan, get rid of hate speech and white nationalism and white separatism, which everybody can agree on, we might then be more concerned. This First Amendment issue isn't as brightly cut as some people might see. So I don't know if this is a victory as much as it is something that could erode freedom of speech.
Lauren, the housing issue is critically important because, again, look, the power of Facebook is immense when you talk about digital ads. And to allow folks to essentially discriminate using that platform is dead wrong. And so it's good to see HUD having some type of activism and waking the hell up, because they've been asleep at the wheel the last 2 years.
Yeah, but it's always political in the same way that they hate PBS, anything that they deem left-leaning. You know, the Trump administration, of course, has this, as Greg just said, has this obsession with Facebook with regard to what they view as blocking speech from the right. And so that's really what's going to be behind this. And, you know, as it goes forward, I think that they'll fully reveal that that's what's behind. Now Carson may, in fact, blunder and do something right for once in the time that he's been in there. But I suspect what they'll do is they'll start really going after Facebook very singularly and specifically in the same way they go after, you know, PBS. And it won't really reveal anything or fix anything, and it just will poke Facebook for a political reason.
Robert?
I told y'all to trust Ben Carson. I've been saying this for years. Ben Carson had our back the whole time. Ben Carson didn't just go from being the National Black History Museum to being this sellout Uncle Tom as he's been cast in the media in 3 years. Ben Carson been there for us. He's been fighting for us this entire time. He's been fighting to reform housing and urban development. On the point that Greg was making about the social media and white nationalist language, let's be very careful about that. Because if today they're banning David Duke, tomorrow it'll be Farrakhan. The day after it'll be Garvey. After that it'll be Malcolm X. Then it'll be Dr. King. So let's not take these encroachments on freedom of speech lightly, because if it starts over there, all of a sudden white people found this new word, reverse racism, that they like to use all the time, and they like to use that indiscriminately. So they will use that against us very soon.
Robert, what the hell has Ben Carson been doing for us as HUD secretary?
What Ben Carson has been doing as HUD secretary. I'm glad you asked that, because I did 2 hours of research in the car. What Ben Carson has been doing is reforming a broken housing and urban development department that has been broken for 30 years.
How?
Reforming programs, taking money out of certain areas, refocusing it on having mixed-use development. So instead of having giant housing projects in the middle of the city, there are urban slums. He's been working on creating funding mechanisms that create mixed-use environments.
Robert.
Yeah, go ahead.
Robert, let me help you out.
Links to it.
No, Robert, let me help you out. To see, unfortunately for the argument you just made, you're talking to somebody whose expertise has been covering housing. I covered housing as a county government reporter for the Austin American Statesman. Housing was under my purview when I was reporter for the Fort Worth Star Telegram when I was City Hall reporter. The mixed use development, that stuff started, first of all, under Jack Kemp. Then when Henry Cisneros became head of HUD. This has been going on since the 90s. When I spent 6 years in Chicago, executive editor of the Chicago Defender, 2004 to 2007, I left Chicago in 2010. The Chicago Housing Department, they actually tore down those high rises there, and guess what they went to? Mixed use. I actually covered those cover stories in the Chicago Defender. This ain't Ben Carson all of a sudden doing this. Okay? This has been this has been the HUD official policy for about 25 years. Now, we're also dealing with the reality that with HUD, this is the same Ben Carson who told cities that they did not have to submit their plans as to how they were going to eradicate discrimination in housing. The cities complained saying, oh, this was too onerous, and he said, okay, that's fine, it's no problem. So explain to me, how was that good for black folks?
By reducing regulations, by reducing red tape, by getting projects moving instead of having 50 pages of documents that have to be submitted before you can break ground on a project.
You just missed that. You just missed what I said. Literally allowed cities not to have to submit their plans to show how they were going to end housing discrimination in their cities. He overturned the rules of the Obama administration. That's what he did in the first year as HUD secretary.
Because the rules under the Obama administration weren't working. Let's think back 4 years, think back 8 years. It's not like everybody in the hood was living in a land of milk and honey, and then Ben Carson came and ruined it. What he did was take out onerous regulation.
That's not what was happening, Robert. The cities complained because they did not want to have to submit their housing plans. They all know this is just too much for us. No, too much is housing discrimination, Greg. That's the problem. And so, again, Robert, I get your point. You're conservative. You want to, pump. You got your pom-poms out for Ben Carson. But the reality is they have rolled back civil rights in this administration, including in housing and urban development.
Of course. And Ben Carson is, again, they're taking their cue from the White House. You have an addled-minded human signing pen in Donald Trump. And what you really have in the White House is Mick Mulvaney in terms of domestic policy. Look at the evisceration of the HUD budget. The man didn't even fight for his own budget. Let's be very clear.
And in fact, Robert, I'm reading from, this is a headline, December 24th, 2018, Washington Post. Ben Carson's HUD dials back investigations into housing discrimination.
Because that money could be better used on actually building houses. I don't know why we're pretending that things were great 4 years, 8 years, 10 years ago instead of realizing those things need to be reformed.
No, Robert. No one said great. But if you are the Secretary of HUD and you're dialing back on the issue of investigating housing discrimination, that took place in 2018, the 50th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act. The reality is that housing discrimination still impacts African Americans, still impacts others, and I'm sorry, it has not changed enough. I am not painting a picture that under Obama, under George W. Bush, under Bill Clinton, under George H.W. Bush, under Ronald Reagan, under Jimmy Carter, under Ford, under Nixon, that somehow public housing was this great thing. But what I'm not going to do is paint this Basquiat photo, this art piece of how amazing Carson has been doing, when I'm sorry, the evidence simply is not there to support your argument. Final comment, Robert, Lauren, Greg.
All right, Roland, see, you're fancy. You're talking about Basquiat and all these rich people things. I'm a country boy. There's this old saying, you can either have eggs...
Well, no. First of all, I said Basquiat because white folks would have said Picasso, and I'm going to mention an African-American painter. But go right ahead.
Well, I'm going to keep it country. There's an old saying, you can either have eggs or you can have chickens. So what we're saying is that we want everything to stay intact. We don't want to break any eggs. We don't want to create anything that will disrupt the system. But at the same time, we want to reform reform the system. Ben Carson came in a situation where he was walking into a broken system that's been broken for 50 years and had to fix it. And part of that was destroying what existed to build it back up. The only way to build something new is to take down what didn't work for the last 50 years.
Well, why would Ben Carson?
Lauren, one of the things that Carson did was that this was according to Washington Post. Another Obama rule that held lenders and landlords liable for policies that led to discrimination, even if none was intended. Lauren, Carson rolled that back too. Go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, well, not only did he roll it back, of course, in the president's budget, there's a massive, massive cut to HUD. You know, one of the magic tricks the conservatives love to perform is this idea that we're making things better by cutting them and making them simple. Yeah, okay. So housing in the United States has always been, you know, with regard to redlining and everything else, a racially, and with this president, of course, in his history, a race-based situation. So I'm not clear on what Robert's talking about. Ben Carson is not an expert in housing, so it was always very strange that he was in that position to begin with. And when you cut the department by billions of dollars, it tells people what your priorities are.
Greg, I'm going to read this and I want you to respond. Carson has only used his authority as HUD secretary to scrutinize widespread housing discrimination, moving ahead under public pressure on an investigation against Facebook that was initiated during the Obama administration. Here's the next piece. President Barack Obama's HUD secretaries used the tool known as Secretary-Initiated Complaints an average of 10 times per year, while President George W. Bush's second HUD secretary used it an average of 5 times per year. Carson has only used it once.
Oh, that's not surprising. I mean, we can go back to the fact that the staff at HUD has been hollowed out. And again, this, as Lauren said, he doesn't know anything about housing. He doesn't know anything apparently about buildings. Because remember when on your show on TV One, that's around the time that he said that the pyramids in Egypt were used to store grain. But at any rate, but the beautiful thing about Ben Carson, we're coming up on about the year anniversary. I guess it was last April that he proposed tripling the rent on people who have Section 8 and federal housing subsidies. In other words, biting into low-income folk who are already trying to pay for child care and health care. Ben Carson is a human joke as it comes to being a member of anybody's federal cabinet. And anybody trying to argue otherwise just finds himself indefensible. Go back to practicing surgery or write another version of Gifted Hands. But, brother, you need to leave housing alone.
All I'm going to do is I'm going to recite the facts, not the other stuff. All right, folks, 2 good things from the Trump administration today, but only after major pushback from activists and the media. Trump overruled Betsy DeVos as education secretary, and his budget will now include money for the Special Olympics. DeVos cut and defended the cuts. I don't know what, that was just about the dumbest thing. And on the story we reported on last week, some 4,000 Liberians are in the U.S. as refugees from a brutal civil war that killed 250,000 people between 1989 and 2003. They were in danger of being deported at the end of the month. The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, among others, opposed this. And today the White House announced a 1-year extension of their right to stay in the United States. Robert, there's a lot of stuff you can cut. The damn Special Olympics.
Look, Betsy DeVos is an idiot. So I think that we didn't make that clear that she's just some rich lady who ended up being housed or being the education secretary, but she doesn't have any damn sense. So part of that is that the Republicans gave themselves a $1.5 trillion tax cut last year. And now they have to figure out how to pay for it because the deficit has increased by almost $2 trillion in 2 years. And putting that money on the back of people in the Special Olympics, on the having people in education and special education and the disabled pay for that, I think is unconscionable. So clearly this was a non-starter. Clearly these are things that she did not run by people higher up, and that's why Trump had to overrule her, because it's an idiotic decision from the moment that she announced it.
But this is the problem. This is the problem. And of course we know Trump has no problem throwing everyone under the bus. The problem is this. Betsy DeVos didn't know there was a cut in that budget. If you look at her questioning, she's sitting there with that same deer in the headlight, fake teeth smile she's had all along. I think it's a fantastic program. Betsy DeVos, like Wilbur Ross in Commerce, who tried to add that census question, got that probably from Stephen Miller in the White House. This is being run out the White House. This is Mick Mulvaney. Donald Trump doesn't know anything about it either. So it was bad PR.
Right.
And threw DeVos under
Right.
the bus. DeVos didn't know that cut was in there until she showed up for the hearing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing watching Betsy DeVos. She probably is singularly the most stupid cabinet official in the Trump administration, and that is saying something. And she, you know, she of course, is required to come to Congress to testify, so she can't really hide for very long. But on this one, she clearly, you know, as Dr. Carr just said, she clearly had absolutely no idea what was going on, as usual.
Right.
And she just creates viral media. That's basically what she does when she testifies. It's like, what dumb thing is she going to say
Well, we appreciate
that's going
it.
to end up on Twitter and blow up? And that's basically been her use this entire administration.
Well, we sure as hell appreciate it. All right, y'all. New black candidate announced for president today, Wayne Messum, the first black mayor of Miramar, Florida. Here's his launch video.
I grew up in a place they call the Muck. My mother and father came here to the United States from Jamaica. My father was a contract sugarcane cutter, very hard, intense labor with machetes to cut the sugarcanes in the hot sun in South Florida. You know, I can see him looking around in these fields, envisioning that his children would be successful one day and they wouldn't have to suffer the way that he suffered. Well, I'm passionate about the American dream because it's not a fictitious thing for me, it's real for me. Went to Florida State on a football scholarship. The legendary coach Bobby Bowden and won a national championship there. Started a construction business with my wife. We were recognized by the United States Green Building Council for building the first LEED Platinum school in the Southeast United States. I became the first African-American mayor of the city of Miramar when I unseated a 16-year incumbent. The city of Miramar actually was able to beat out China and bring jobs to our city. The problem in America, as I see it, is that we are not addressing these high-stake problems that we must deal with today. When you have a senior citizen who can't afford her prescription medicine, Washington is broken. When our scientists are telling us if we don't make drastic changes today, the quality of our air will be in peril, Washington is broken. Everyday people are graduating from universities with crippling debt, stifling their opportunity for financial mobility. That is what's broken with this country. America belongs to all of us. The promise of America belongs to all of us. That's why I'm going to be running for president, to be your champion.
I'm very proud of you.
Yes. The same prospects of the American dream that my father was able to achieve. We need to bring that back for every American.
All right, first of all, for a lot of people, now here's the brother, he follows me on Twitter. I've actually never heard of him. I was very surprised to see him announce. But here's the other thing, Lauren, a lot of people don't realize. You've got, I think, 70 or 80 people or more who've actually filed to run for president. So it's not, I mean, so what do you make of this announcement? I mean, you know, 140,000 people, mayor of that city. Of course, you got the guy, he hasn't announced he's running for president, but he's the Notre Dame mayor. Now, has he announced, or is he still in exploratory? Like right now, I don't know who the hell is actually running or thinking of running or an exploratory committee. I'm not sure where we are right now.
Yeah,
Lauren, what do you think?
The first time I heard of him was when Jackie sent the show notes. That was basically my first thing. But I mean, that looks pretty cool. It shows you how many people can get into this 2020 race and make a difference. And obviously the power of social media, the democratization of social media, allows people like Beto O'Rourke, for example, to blow up even though he has no substance and get out there and just sort of become viral. So who knows? This guy could be the next Beto O'Rourke, the next Barack Obama, etc. So, I mean, you know, if the guy that's the mayor of South Bend can show up and do as well as he has and be on a CNN town hall and do all this other stuff, then this fellow can do the same thing. But you're right. You know, I'm with you. I had never heard of him until today. But that doesn't really mean anything. So, good for him.
Greg?
I agree with Lauren. And, you know, it's funny, in seeing his announcement, he said the muck. I immediately thought about Tea Cake and Zora Neale Hurston out there with cane and tomatoes and all the stuff they say they grow in the muck in her famous, of course, 1937 novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God. So when he says he comes from the muck, I ain't mad at him. But like Lauren said, I mean, he's going to South Carolina a couple of times early on. He's going to try to register. In this field, let 1,000 flowers bloom and let him sort it out. Because Donald Trump already has his playbook, fear, racism, and everything else. So let these folks slug it out. And if this man, certainly if the mayor of South Bend can stand on the stage, and if a man named Robert Francis O'Rourke can rebrand as Beto and show up to be the president of the United States, then certainly this man, who at least runs a city, no however small, can throw his hat in the ring.
Robert?
Look, he has my vote already since he said he was Jamaican. So, you guys talk about Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. He said during one of his campaign speeches that he is a Maltese, left-handed, Episcopalian, gay, millennial mayor of a small town in the Midwest, and he's polling third in the Iowa caucuses. So by all means, my Jamaican brother, run. Like Donald Trump proved in 2016 that when you have a large field like this, when you have 17, 20, 25 candidates, that anybody can pull ahead. Whoever gets those headlines, whoever gets that free media, can win a couple primaries, get the momentum flowing behind them, get the money coming in after that, and win. So there's nothing to say that he can't win. People were talking about Stacey Abrams running. Right. The biggest election Stacey Abrams ever won was 26,000 votes. As a state representative of House District 89 in Georgia. So if she is being talked about as a presidential candidate winning 29,000 votes in the last election she won, then why can't he be a presidential candidate representing a city of 150,000 people? Got my support, brother.
All right. All right, we certainly appreciate it. All right, for all the folks who are watching YouTube, remember you can also give right there on YouTube while the show is live. So a lot of you have been commenting right now, so please do so. Support Roland Martin Unfiltered. Going to a break. We'll be back in just a moment. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast.
Check out our audio podcast.
There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.
You either going to help run it or they're going to run it for you. In order to get anything done in this world, we have to work with the system that's there. And you have to have the courage of your convictions. You may despise me, you may not understand my choice, but at least you can respect that I stood in it. If you're outside the mainstream, no one can push you aside any further. Life makes you jaded and it hurts you and it's painful. And we've had a lot of pain in this country. Trump can show up and say anything and they can just go, oh yeah.
The African American community was great to us. They didn't vote.
You know, he just called you stupid. Did you hear that? But he's for us. Really? And they were just regurgitating the things that they had heard on a radio or in the barbershop or something somebody had told them. They hadn't thought about it. Democracy is in danger because people don't know how to think. I'm done with trying to convince people to try to vote for their, for their life. You have to run for your life. I'm gonna go try to get people who are open to it and lead them. I'm done with hope. Fuck hope. Bye. That's good news.
In the back. All right, folks, that's Erica Alexander interview. We're going to live stream tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, after we finish the show. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great interview. New developments on the Republican power grab in Wisconsin. We told you how the Republican-controlled legislature passed a series of laws in the lame duck session last year to curtail the power of the incoming Democratic governor and attorney general. Earlier this week, a state judge declared those laws unconstitutional. Another state judge has agreed. But yesterday, a state appeals court reinstated some of those laws. It's not clear what happens next, but there will be more appeals and court hearings. Now, remember how we always say vote in every election, not just the top races. Judges in Wisconsin are elected, which is also why we have to remember to vote. A federal judge ruled late yesterday that Medicaid work requirements undermine the program's mission of providing health care for the needy, dealing a major blow to Donald Trump. They're using work requirements as a way to deny care to poor people. I tell y'all, the Maine don't give a damn about poor people. A U.S. district judge in Washington, D.C. blocked work requirements for low-income people in 2 states, Arkansas and Kentucky. He found that the state's requirements pose numerous obstacles to getting health care. Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin has threatened to end Kentucky's Medicaid expansion, covering more than 400,000 people if work requirements are ultimately struck down. Bevin is a Republican. In Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, he's the governor there, he also wants a waiver to enforce those work requirements. And speaking of also not giving a damn about the poor, did y'all see Donald Trump's comments about Puerto Rico, where he said no one, no president has done more for the Puerto Rican people than Donald Trump? Y'all, this is delusional. If you are a Puerto Rican anywhere in America, I don't see how in the hell you could vote for this man in 2020. We now know, based upon reports, that he has made it clear that he wants to deny additional resources to Puerto Rico as a result of a hurricane that struck the island last year. This man does not care about Puerto Rico. He's shown it, and it's no shock that he's going to continue to do this. But to say you've done more than anybody else, dude, really? Sit the hell down. Time for another break. When we come back, more Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Defining myself as opposed to being defined by others is one of the most difficult challenges I face. Politician and lawyer, Carol Mosley Braun.
All right, folks, HBCU Giving Day. Our school is Lincoln University in Missouri. It was founded in 1866. They're located in Jefferson City, Missouri. Notable graduates include Lloyd Gaines, Joe Torrey, Oliver Cox, Dorothy Butler Gilliam, and many others. If you want to support Lincoln, go to lincolnu.edu, lincolnu.edu. Calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders, enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline, folks, is in 3 days. It's in 3 days. Go to FGB.Life. That's FGB.Life for more information and to apply. And remember, Ford goes further in our community. And we certainly appreciate them being a partner with us at Roland Martin Unfiltered.
No charcoal grills are allowed. I'm white. I got you, Carl.
Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here. I'm uncomfortable.
All right, y'all. In an effort to encourage Toledo Public School students taking standardized tests this week, the local news team of WTOL in Toledo tried to relate to teens a bit more. Now, according to people I know in Toledo, they've tweeted me, they've said that this did not air on the station. But still, they made a total fool of themselves. Look at this, y'all.
Good morning, TPS students. It is testing week, and it's time to slay all day.
Yeet! Stay woke, be on fleek, and get that Gucci breakfast.
Goals. Say bye, Felicia, to that testing stress. Weather's going to be turned, right, Chris?
Yes! Toledo weather going to be V-lit during testing week. A hundo-P chance of success. You've got this, kids. Steve, how about that traffic? Are we looking
better than We're talking turn. FOMO won't be an issue. No traffic problems around any TPS schools to keep you from taking those tests.
So get a good night's sleep, do your best. In fact, be extra, extra.
We here at WTOL are V proud of you.
Good luck on your test, TPS students.
Okay, Greg, you teach college students. Would you even remotely think of doing an ignorant video like that?
I don't have to, brother, because I am actually black and not a white figment of white imagination. So that was, of course, minstrelsy. It's a wonderful casebook example to show in a class to deconstruct. But more importantly, as we laugh, we must think about the fact that for many of us in this society, they may even defend that and say, well, they were just trying to be supportive. That's the crazy thing, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you know what's really
There's no
scary?
way in hell, Lauren.
I mean,
there's no way in hell if I was black working at that station, I'd be like, oh, no, we ain't doing this.
and see, you know, it went through
Not gonna
multiple
happen.
people. It had to have gone through at least, you know, obviously the executive producer, and it goes through them. Like, what were they thinking? Like, why did they think it was a good idea? And worse, it had to have been rehearsed. So obviously you're doing it once or twice beforehand. And why are they trying to say that wasn't on air? Of course it was on air. That was embarrassing. And of course it's embarrassing on YouTube for the ages. I mean, it's not a good idea.
Well, I talked to somebody,
Robert?
I talked to somebody from Toledo who said that video was supposed to encourage students during their testing week. They were trying to be satirical and connect with young people in a way that they communicate. They meant for it to be funny. It was never intended to be serious. That's their explanation for it. But I think the most important thing to talk about is the black dude doing traffic. Like, as the black dude, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to explain to everybody else, no, abort, abandon ship, let's not do this. Like, that is the only reason they have you there, to talk them out of things like this, and you failed. You had one job, and you failed at that. So I think we need to have a come to Jesus meeting with him. He's uninvited from all barbecues. He's uninvited from all cookouts. He has to turn in his black card along with his key card at the door when he leaves work today.
Roland, that face you made should be,
Hi, y'all.
It should be a gift. That face you made should be a gift. Put that on gift. But let's be clear, we're in the minority opinion, because I guarantee you there are young people who would say, why are y'all mad? I'm talking about black kids.
Okay, more crazy-ass white people. This time in Congress. Republicans have a new strategy to defeat Democrats in 2020, call them socialists. But some of the nuttier Republicans have seized an even bigger lie. Now, one of the absolute dumbest members of Congress is Mo Brooks of Alabama and Louis Gohmert of Texas. Two of the most embarrassing. If I was a white man, I would want to take their white men card. Now, what they're doing is they're linking socialism to Nazism, because the official name of the Nazi Party was the National Socialist Workers' Party. Watch this idiot, Louis Gohmert, y'all, an actual member of Congress, try to pull this off at a House committee hearing.
But the potential is out there for another Hitler, socialist like Hitler, to come along.
The awful thing about that, they were the Nazis. It's the Nazis that's terrible, not the socialists.
They were fascists. They weren't socialists. They were fascists, the Nazi Party.
They claimed to be socialists, and they were.
Robert, do you really want to stay a conservative after watching that?
Remember, I'm a conservative independent, so I'm not associating myself with those people. We really need better schools in this country. I think it's very important that we teach an actual world history where people understand the difference between fascist, socialist, communist. The reason Hitler came to power by opposing the communists who avowed economic policy was socialism. So to say that the Nazis were socialist is antithetical to history. Now, anybody who's read anything beyond a 3-sentence summary of World War II would understand that. Lou Gohmert is somebody who I think has to really figure out what exactly he's trying to fight against. If you want to have a discussion on government control of economic policy, that's a fine discussion to have. If you want to have a discussion on what the marginal tax rate should be for corporations and individuals, that's the conversation to have. But to try to conflate Bernie Sanders and AOC with Hitler, I think is a bridge way too far, and it's something where that strains the credibility and credulity of any individual listening.
Yeah.
Lauren, it's amazing how at AIPAC, all those folks, they spend all their time slamming Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Republicans love to talk about her, but they truly have some of the absolute dumbest people you have ever seen in their caucus. Now, Louis Gohmert and Mo Brooks literally make Steve King look like a Rhodes Scholar.
Yeah, Mo Brooks is a throwback really to the 1940s and 50s. Louis Gohmert is just a silly person. I don't know what to say about some of the House Republicans. They had run on this idea of the Tea Party, which was really nothing more than just let's stop the black guy from doing stuff at the White House. And they've gotten to a point really where without him there, they don't really have a foil anymore to make these arguments. And so, you know, they allow people like AOC to show up from the Bronx and really blow them up on their own rhetoric. You know, she can sit and talk about climate change, not only, you know, being an issue in New York, but in Iowa, and really speak to the issues in a more global way. And at some point it catches up to you, this sort of dumb rhetoric, but it's red meat for their base, for their district, for that gerrymandered red district that they come from, so it works in a very narrow way for them, but it's going to go out of fashion at some point, and at some point very quickly.
Greg?
Yeah, I hope, Lauren, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I don't see, if past is prelude, I don't see that is necessarily going to happen. Of course, Louis Gohmert is an idiot, but so are the people that vote for him. And when you look at AOC and what she did, as you said, on climate change, what she offered in Congress the other day, and roll back before that to Mike Lee out of Utah, he's a United States Senator.
Right.
Only thing dumber than him are the people that voted for him. But that's their strategy. This isn't a matter of winning arguments. This is a matter of winning elections. And so all you got to do is say socialism, as you said, that base, and then try to hold on to it. And if you look at the gerrymandering cases that were argued at the Supreme Court while we were talking about Jussie Smollett, let's get one thing for sure. They are trying to steal elections, and you hold that base together by playing to their fears. It isn't a matter of brain. It's a matter of heart. And in their hearts, there's a deep intolerance and racism that will have them even have the planet choke on the smoke before they will lose an election. Has nothing to do with being right or wrong or even being intelligent. In fact, stupidity plays better with that base.
All right, folks, I want to, of course, this also happened today in the college bribery scandal involving all those largely rich white folks. Rudy Meredith, who was the former soccer coach, the former women's soccer coach at Yale University, a brother, today in federal court in Boston pleaded guilty to accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in exchange for helping those students get into Yale by being on the soccer team, even though they could not play soccer. Meredith pleaded guilty to 2 charges of wire fraud, which each carry a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. Now, he accepted about $860,000 from California college admissions counselor William Rick Singer as part of a scheme to help these rich kids get into schools. And so this is the first guilty plea. And again, Rudy Meredith is a brother. Again, was a former women's soccer coach at Yale University. And it, of course, we don't have when sentencing actually is. He will return to court on June 20th for sentencing. And so we'll certainly keep y'all up to date on all of that. All right, folks, we're here in Los Angeles. The 50th NAACP Image Awards will be taking place on Saturday. So let me give you a sense of what we're going to be doing. Tomorrow, we're going to be actually broadcasting from a local YMCA where McDonald's has a particular initiative. We're going to do some interviews, and we'll also be doing our show live from there. Now, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m., first of all, so we're going to have the show tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to stream my interview with Erica Alexander. Remember her from Living Single? Fantastic interview. Some powerful, powerful stuff she had to say about the importance of voting and being involved in the issues. And so we're going to talk to her at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then we're going to come back live at around 9 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to be from the red carpet of the NAACP Image Award pre-show. And so that actually more Image Awards are actually awarded at the pre-show than the actual telecast. And so we're going to be live on tomorrow. So again, 6 p.m. Eastern, our normal show. And then, of course, we'll be streaming the Erica Alexander interview at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll be live from the NAACP Image Awards pre-show. That's tomorrow night. And, of course, on Saturday, the Image Awards will be broadcast, and we will be live from the red carpet from interviews there as well. And so I don't know if any other black news, any other black media company, website, or whatever is going to be out here doing this kind of coverage. But that's why we have Roland Martin Unfiltered, which means why we need you to support Roland Martin Unfiltered. So we want you to please go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give goes to support what we do here with this show, traveling around the country, doing interviews, covering the issues that matter to us. And so you can join our Bring the Funk fan club by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can pay via Cash App, PayPal, or Square. If you want to make a monthly donation, you can do that. If you want to do a one-time donation, that's fine as well. We would love to, again, have as many of you as possible. All the folks right now, you're watching us on Periscope, you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything, but we also need you to support what we do to make this happen as well. I want to thank, of course, Robert Patillo, Lauren Victoria Burke, Greg Carr for being on my panel today. Thank you so very much. Folks, I shall see you tomorrow. And yes, I'm rocking my Houston Astros jersey. Today is the opening day of Major League Baseball. And so, y'all know my Astros going to handle that business. All you Yankees fans, you Red Sox fans, we going to take care of y'all. That's how we do it. And so, for all the folks here, thank you so very much. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. Hey folks, Roland Martin here, broadcasting live from Los Angeles, where we are here covering the 50th NAACP Image Awards taking place on Saturday. But on today's Roland Martin Unfiltered for Thursday, March 28th, 2019, more drama out of Chicago dealing with Jussie Smollett. Donald Trump orders the FBI to investigate what took place, the plea deal there. Also, the continuing whining and crying of Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who wants Jussie Smollett to pay back the city. Did he somehow forget the millions of dollars that Chicago has had to pay out in police brutality cases? Also, what the hell is up with the District Attorneys National Association calling out Cook County DA Kim Foxx, but not other district attorneys on police shootings? Oh yeah, I got something to say about that. HUD sues Facebook over discrimination in housing. And my panel and I take on Facebook's decision to ban white nationalist and white separatist posts. Will it work, and does it go far enough? Trump, under media and activist pressure, reinstates funding in his budget for the Special Olympics and allows Liberian refugees to stay another year in the United States. Another African American joins the race for the White House, the mayor of Miramar, Florida. Population 140,000. We've got his announcement video, and that is, we'll tell you who Wayne Messum is, because many of you probably have never heard of him. Also, we'll update you on the state of play on the GOP power grab in Wisconsin, and a federal judge strikes down work requirements for Medicaid in Arkansas and Kentucky. And some more crazy as white folks lose their mind, this time a TV news team and two Republican congressmen. Well, I'm going to really deal with the Republican congressmen. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.